In this video, we'll learn how you can create your own custom benchmarking dashboards in Sprinklr. You'll learn how to create a dashboard from scratch or by cloning an existing dashboard. And we'll see how we can customize our custom dashboards by creating widgets, editing or deleting them, applying filters at the section and widget level, and much more. From your Sprinklr homepage, make sure you're in Sprinklr Insights and then scroll down. In the Learn column, you'll find here the Benchmarking Dashboards link. This will take you to the Benchmarking Dashboards home, where you can see all of your existing benchmarking dashboards, whether these are the standard ones that you saw in the previous video, or any custom dashboards that you create by using the methods you'll learn here. To create a new dashboard, there are two ways to do so. You can create a blank dashboard from scratch, or you could clone an existing one. So if you want to create a new dashboard, this button on the top right will allow you to create one. Let's name it. You can assign it to a folder here if you want. And then choose a starter dashboard. Empty dashboard will be selected by default. You could also decide to use one of the existing standard dashboards as a template. So we could select one of these. Let's go with the default in this use case, and we'll also have to fill out the purpose. Let's say none for this. And then create. With this, you have created a completely blank dashboard, and now you would be able to start adding widgets with this button or this button. Before we do that, let's see the other way to create a dashboard, which is more common actually, and that would be cloning an existing dashboard. This is a standard dashboard, and I've applied some filters to it so we see the data that we want. So we are able to clone this dashboard by going to the three-dot menu and selecting Clone. Now we're going to give our clone a name. And now we have created a custom dashboard that is exactly the same, looks exactly the same as the standard one, but is fully customizable. It's a custom copy, so you'll see you'll have all of the options of custom dashboards. You might be familiar with these custom options from a different Sprinklr reporting offering. And you'll be able to edit all of the widgets within these dashboards, go to any tab and make changes to it. There is only one exception to this, and that would be there are a few widgets, if you're using standard dashboards, there are a few widgets that are called system widgets, and those are not editable. They are hard-coded into the dashboard. And you'll see that you don't have these options for those widgets. These three dots and all of these different options are not visible. So that would be, for example, these four widgets at the top. These are the only exception. We cannot edit those. Everything else we can modify. So now that we have our custom dashboard, it's time to start editing it and customizing it. Just like we saw in standard dashboards, we're able to apply filters here, like, for example, the brand and competitor brand filters and anything else, any other filter that we would want to apply for the entire dashboard. But also, now that we're in a custom dashboard, we're also able to apply filters at the section or tab level. So we could filter one of these tabs. For example, the channel strategy tab, we could filter differently. For example, we could apply this filter to only see data coming from Facebook and Instagram and not X or any other platforms that are connected. And you'll see that those filters will affect only this one tab or section of the dashboard. We can also, in custom dashboards, apply filters at the widget level. So we could filter one specific widget in this tab or in any tab, for example, in this tab. We could filter this widget any way we want. So you can do that by clicking this filter. You can see that the filter currently is set to all message type of posts. Let's select only Facebook replies and Instagram comments, for example, as the only message types that this widget will show us. And now, well, that was too restrictive and we barely have anything. Adding a few more. So in custom dashboards, we're able to filter at the tab level, not only at the dashboard level, but also at the tab level and at the widget level. Now let's see how we can add some widgets to the dashboard. There are three different ways that we can add widgets. We can add them from the library, we can duplicate existing widgets, and we can create widgets from scratch, from a completely blank page. Let's first see how to add from the library. We'll go to the Add Widget button here on the top right. This opens the Custom Widget Builder, which is the most complex way of doing this. But next to it, we also have Widget Library. And here we'll see a library of pre-built widgets that have most common use cases, and we're able to navigate to find what we'd like to see. If you like any widget here, like this one, for example, which media type has the highest reach among audience? We can add this one, this one, this one, this one. If there's a widget that you like to customize before adding, you can click this widget and that will open it in the widget editor before you add it to your dashboard. So you could make changes before adding it. All of these added widgets will appear at the bottom of your page. So you can see that here. The second way of adding widgets would be cloning existing widgets. So if you like a widget, for example, let's say we like this widget right here, we can go to the options and duplicate. That will generate a copy, an exact copy of the same widget in the same section of the dashboard at the bottom. And here is where we could maybe make some edits with just some quick actions here, with editing some of these filters right here, changing the visualization. Or going into the full widget editor to make more advanced changes. We'll talk about this in a minute. If you want to copy widgets across different tabs or across different dashboards, you can do that by grabbing a widget and going to Move To. This will allow you to move this widget to a different tab or section of this same dashboard. For example, let's send it to Voice of Fan. And now we will find it in the Voice of Fan tab at the bottom. Sorry, not at the bottom, at the top. And now we will find it in the Voice of Fan tab at the top. If you want to move a widget to a different dashboard, you can do that in the options. You'll find the plus Add to Custom Dashboard. This will create a copy and move it to the dashboard that you select. So you'll name your widget. And here's where you would select what dashboard you want to send this to. And send. Now just a copy will be sent. Your original will remain where it is. In this case, I'm actually going to delete this. All right, so we've seen two ways of adding dashboards. We've seen two ways of adding widgets, library, and duplicating. Now let's see the third way, which is creating a widget completely from scratch. Here you'll have available all of the options to build a widget. First thing, we have to give this a name. The data source will already be set to benchmarking, as you can see here. Now we'll select a visualization. Table is always selected by default. We could choose something else that is a better visual representation for what we're about to select. I'm going to stick with table for now. And now here's where we're going to start to add the data to our widget. So we'll have to select metrics and dimensions. When you click here, you'll see that the metrics and the dimensions that you have available are going to be the metrics and dimensions that correspond to the benchmarking data source. First, we're going to select a metric. For example, total engagements. And this is giving us the total engagements with no categorization. So that would be for all of the brands that are selected in our widget. Let's categorize this number into different sections by choosing a dimension. There are many dimensions that you could choose. In benchmarking, two of the most relevant ones that you'll use often, so you may want to set them as favorites so you find them easily in the feature, are going to be brand or brand type, brand category. Brand category, I'll also set it as favorite. So brand category will break up your data into the two categories or three categories that we have available, which are my brand, competitor brand, and influencer. In our case, we're selecting Louvre as my brand and British Museum as a competitor brand. So they split sort of like this. And we only have one competitor brand set in this dashboard. But you could have multiple brands under this category of competitor brand. The other option would be, and you can add both of these, choosing brand. And then you'll see the category and then the actual brand that this is representing. I find this redundant right now, so I'll remove it. And now I will choose a visualization that looks better. I can choose from this or from this. Let's go with a bar. If you want a detailed list of all the available metrics and dimensions and the sources that support each of them, you will find them in the knowledge article that's linked below. Here you can apply a bunch of different settings like hiding the legend, including data labels, which will give you those little numbers on the actual bar, and other options. You can apply filters here if you want. Just make sure that if you apply any filters or anything that you are setting in these widgets settings is reflected in the name. So anybody that looks at it from the dashboard view understand what they are seeing. You can also do things like define sorting with the descending or ascending order, add target metrics, and more. Let's add this one to our dashboard. Let's now organize this a little bit. So now that we have a bunch of widgets in here, we may want to clean it up. For example, deleting any widgets that are not applicable. We can also move widgets from section to section. And then within a section, we could maybe rearrange by dragging and dropping our widget up and down, making some of them bigger by dragging from the corner, or smaller. If you have a lot of widgets, you might find it easier to go to the Edit Layout option where you'll see the full page, and then you can drag and drop more easily and also resize from here. Whichever works best for you is fine. The Sprinklr AI Plus options will be available for compatible widgets. And in custom dashboards, you'll be able to pin these summaries. Once the AI has generated a summary, the pinning option will be available. Since this will modify the widget, it's only available in custom dashboards. This widget will take now a bigger portion of the screen. You can, of course, resize it a bit if needed, but it has more data, so it makes sense it takes up more space. And you can also use AI when you drill down on any data point. So this will give you insight on the data associated to this one data point. This is available both for custom and for standard dashboards. Once you're happy with the dashboard that you've built, now it's time to share it with others. So to do that, go to the dashboard menu, this three-dot box right here, and select Share. Make sure to share it with the workspace or user groups that you want to share it with. The best practice approach to sharing is to share with user groups whenever possible. To share with people who are not Sprinklr users, who work outside of Sprinklr, you can create an external link with this option right here. And for extra protection, you can set up password protection if you would like. Once you generate the link, you'll be able to share this with anybody, and they'll be able to access a version of this dashboard that is public. Once you no longer want this to be visible to others, disable external sharing with this. And lastly, you can export this to create a hard copy. Here you have a few options, like if you want to select all tabs or only a couple, then you can choose the format and hit export. Now, if you want, you can also go through the advanced and scheduled export settings. And in here, you'll find a couple of additional options, as well as the option to schedule your exports. So with these, you'll be able to set up a schedule to go out daily or weekly or monthly, and then select the internal users and also external email addresses that will get this exported report. If you go with this, then you'll have the option to enter an email subject and a sender and reply to addresses. Now select Save. So with this video, you've learned how to create your own benchmarking dashboards. We've learned that we can create them from scratch or by cloning an existing dashboard. And we've also seen that we can configure filters, add widgets, organize the dashboard, and share with other users, both internally, Sprinklr users, and external users that don't use Sprinklr, who can get an external link or an email export.